Good morning, world. As difficult as being diagnosed with a mental illness can be, we know that that is barely the tip of the iceberg. The real work comes from learning how to work or how to live after the diagnosis with the diagnosis as a part of your life. And that is why today we're talking about 5 tips for managing a mental illness or for managing mental health. One is to be consistent and on time with your medication or your treatment, actually, and your treatment if they are combined. Because what often happens is that a person starts taking medication and they start feeling better, and all of a sudden they start to slack on the medication. Be consistent with it, because the medication is what is helping you manage. The medication is the reason you're feeling better, so you need to stay with it. And that's the same if you have some other treatments that you're doing other than the medication. Just make sure that you're sticking with your treatment plan, because your treatment plan is the reason you are feeling better. 2, keep learning about what you have. Anytime you get a diagnosis, it can be scary, especially when you're dealing with mental health related diagnoses. It can be scary. Keep learning about it, because the more you learn about it, the more you'll realize that it is something that you can deal with. It is something that is manageable. And of course, you get to learn other treatment options or things that life changes that you can make, other things that you can do to supplement what you are doing with your treatment or with your medication. So keep learning about it, because 1, it normalizes it, and 2, it gives you access to other resources. 3, have an alert system or some type of warning for symptoms. Bipolar is one of those ones where it's really important to start. An alert system does not necessarily mean that something you're going to do. It works best if your alert system is another person, someone who can observe your behavior, someone who can see what is going on with you. And of course, you have a way for them to tell you, hey, I am noticing blah, blah, blah. Because, for instance, people dealing with bipolar disorder, when they're getting into an episode, there are signs, there are things, there are behavior changes that a person who is close enough to them may be able to notice that can help them, that can kind of help prevent a crisis, where you see the warning signs and you alert them to it, or they see the warning signs and they alert you to it. That way you can start doing whatever you need to do to prevent a crisis. 4, develop an action plan. When symptoms start presenting, that's not the time when you try to figure out what to do. You need an action plan, because an action plan tells you, okay, I've been alerted that I am showing symptoms. So now that I'm showing symptoms, what am I going to be doing about it to prevent a crisis? Have an action plan, and of course, make sure your support system is aware of your action plan, or people involved as part of your alert system know what the plan is. What is it that they need to do? How do they let you know that they are noticing symptoms presenting? And of course, what can they do to help once the symptoms start presenting? What can they do to help prevent you from going into a crisis? And of course, focus on living, not on the diagnosis. It's difficult when we're diagnosed with something to realize that, hey, there's a whole nother life that goes on. But focus on living, focus on your life, because this is only one piece of your life, and you need to incorporate this piece into your life, not the other way around. You can't have your whole life be about the illness. And yeah, you can't have your whole life be about the illness, because if you are focusing on the illness, then you get consumed by it, and more of your life is spent managing and dealing with the illness. And a lot of times people get into more issues when they're focusing on the illness, because the rest of life is what helps you manage. Life affirming activities is what help you get through the day. So you need to focus on living, focus on having a life outside of the illness, so that you are not consumed by it and causing yourself more stress and probably more symptoms. Quick recap. 1, be consistent and on time with your medication and your treatment. 2, keep learning about what you have, because it normalizes the diagnosis, and it's another way for you to learn more about what's happening, and of course, learn new things to help support you. 3, have an alert system or a symptom warning. That could be a person who can observe you, who's observing you, or who's there and can observe behaviors and alert you to changes that they're noticing. 4, develop an action plan, because if you are alerted that you are displaying symptoms, you need to have an action plan on what it is that you are going to be doing to prevent just the display of symptoms from going into a full-blown crisis. And 5, focus on living and not the diagnosis, because life is about living and having fun and enjoying the life that you're living, not just focusing on an illness or a diagnosis, because the more fun you have, the more engaged you are in life, the easier it is, the more manageable the other parts of it is going to be. And yep, that's pretty much it for today. Good morning, world. Have a great day.